So, great win out in Treviso last weekend. You must have been thrilled with the boys digging.
Yeah, obviously to be honest about it, we weren't very pleased with the mentality we showed against the Sharks, and it was important, if whatever the result, that we showed more resilience against Treviso, which we did, and it got us across the line, which was great.
And what have you taken from that game, especially with their determination to grind out that win? Because Munster this weekend is going to be a tough old battle, isn't it? Especially up front. Yeah,
massively. I mean, Munster are, they're a benchmark team of the league. You know how good they are. You look at the Irish provinces, where they are in the league, and where they are every year. Everyone wants to benchmark themselves against the Irish provinces, and Munster are always there and thereabouts. They're 4 from 4. They've played exceptionally well. They put teams to the sword. I'm sure they're full of confidence, and it's going to be a very, very tough ask for us.
The bonus point win last weekend must give you some confidence to going in to such a big game before the 4-week break.
Yeah, we're confident in what we're trying to do, and clear on what we're trying to do, and we're confident in our own ability. So yeah, without doubt. And as I said, there was lots of lessons to be learned across the 2 weeks, as coaches always talk about, and that is more of a psychological thing than a rugby thing. Which is, that elements of performance are good learning points for a very young team, and we'll get a lot from that. But we've got a very tough ask against a very, very good team this week, who are flying high and full of confidence, irrespective of them coming to obviously the .com to come and have a look at us. We need to benchmark ourselves against one of the best.
How have you prepared then? What aspects of the game have you focused on?
Oh, we always look at as you can imagine, on things we didn't do very well. We still conceded 4 tries, so that's, we've obviously done a lot of defensive work this week, as you can imagine. So we'd like to make those contests easier. We scored some good tries, so we've carried on reinforcing what we're doing well, and those are the basis of any performance, really.
And you're the leading Welsh side in division at the moment. That must give you an extra push as well.
Yeah,
to
again,
continue that winning streak, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we've won 3 out of 4, and that gives you an air of confidence. But by the time it matters where you finish, not where you start, and we need to just focus on, as boring as it is for you guys, one game at a time. How many times you've heard a coach talk about that? But it's true, and if we look too far or don't respect the next opponent, and we certainly won't be not respecting Munster because of the reasons we've just spoken about, we're going to come a cropper very quickly. So it's going to be a tough enough ask as it is. So look, if we continue applying ourselves like we did last week, we'll be in the contest, and we'll see where that takes us. And come the end of the season, unfortunately the table doesn't lie. So we'll see where we are at the end.
You've got 5 players away on international duty, if I'm correct. Is that frustrating that you've got a game this weekend outside of that international window and you won't have those players available for you?
Well, any coach would say it's not ideal, for sure. But we've performed very well in international windows. I'm on record as part of our growth as a region is to not be as reliant on international players. If you add in the fact that we've got Lydia and Tipperick and George North injured as well, there's quite a dent in what we've got, especially, as I said, when you're coming up against one of the league's best. But that gives the young players and the boys that want an opportunity. And we went away to Leinster and won last year. We went away in Connaught last year. So yeah, it's not something that we should shy away from. We should embrace the challenge.
And who are those players that have impressed you this week then, with the chance being there for them to put their hand up for selection?
Well, there was a number of players. We've obviously rotated. It was great to see Kieran Williams back in the team. I thought Reece Webb led the team. Max Nagy did exceptionally well at fullback, so we're excited about that. Matt Provorou has obviously been playing well, and we can get some more potency on the pitch. It'd be great. But as we know, up front, we've changed some of the front row boys, and they've taken their opportunity. Some of the back row boys have taken their opportunity, and we want competition for places, and that's how we keep getting better.
Thanks, Toby. Good luck on the weekend.
Thank you. Thanks.
Toby, it's Mark. It is.
Hey, Mark.
Ulster, Leinster, Munster, unbeaten this year. Dropped sort of just 2 points between them, really, in terms of bonus points. Why is it just a question of resources, Toby? Why they're so successful?
What do you think?
Well, clearly, with Leinster, for instance, they've got this fantastic school system as well, which basically just feeds talent through to the province. I think it doesn't create a level playing field, but I was hoping, your view.
You wanted me to say it. You basically wanted me to say it, not you. No, look, ultimately, if you want to be a successful coach, get good players. They want to be a successful team, get good players. As you say, certain people are further down the road in what that looks like, and what they can afford to do. There's a multi-layered approach to it. It's not just about the school system. It's about budgets. There's lots of different reasons why. We can't control any of that. All we can do is compare ourselves with ourselves and look at what we do. We're pleased to, as you say, you asked me lots of questions previously about our young players, Rhys Davises and Will Griff and Morgan Morris and Jack Morgan and people like that, Ruben. We've got a lot of young players that are coming through, and they will grow into, your mainstay at some point, and then hopefully another group of players fill that, and then if you can supplement that with good signings like Tommy Francis, for example, Michael Collins, it makes you more competitive. There's still only 23 people that can take the field, but when people leave for international windows and you need pressure on selection, because that's the only pressure that as a coach you can put on players, then you get a more consistent performance and people that want to get better, and that's that vicious circle that we have to deal with and live in. So
you did mention it earlier, but what have you made of Munster? They came to Wales, they played the Scarlets, and it was effectively a Munster second string, and they ran up 43 points. How do you assess Munster?
I'm not sure there is a Munster second string too much, if I'm honest. I think there's just a Munster team that whoever fills the shirt, they're almost of what I've just talked about. Whoever takes the shirt has a responsibility because of the strength in depth that they have. They're very well organised, well coached, they're very clear on what they're doing. They're an extremely difficult team to play against. We found that last year. My first experience over there, with the Ospreys. But whenever I've been there with other teams, it's always been the same. So, look, they know what they are, they know what they're good at, and they've got a lot of people that can deliver that. And that makes it a very tough challenge. If you look at their interviews post-game, they even refer to the squad rotation, whoever takes the shield, and they're confident that they can go. They're 4 from 4, and they're confident they can go 5 from 5. So, that's what makes them a very difficult proposition.
You say about it is only about 23, but depth is so critical to a squad, isn't it?
Yeah, massively so. Because what it means is you can train at a different intensity with against good quality. So, you basically can then learn to live in different forms of pressure, which ultimately, when you play on a match day, is what it's all about. Can you deal with the pressure? Can you execute under pressure? Can you bring pressure and deal with it and apply pressure? And if you're training with greater consistency of performer, that pressure line stays at a constant. Whereas if you then put in a 18-year-old academy lad who's never been there before, he's on a different part of his development, but it means potentially that there's a slight decrease in quality. So that's the balancing act that we all have to find.
Yeah, if the Ospreys could win this weekend and understand the size of the challenge, it would be a huge blow. Well, you'd be striking a blow for Welsh rugby.
Well, that's our intention. We're not going here to make the numbers up. We're going here to compete. We're at home, and and we're confident if we get it right, we'll be certainly in the arm wrestle. I make the point around Munster because, you know, the table doesn't lie. As I said, you said yourself, 3 Irish provinces unbeaten, you know, and emphatically winning. So we can't underestimate the challenge, and we need to impose our game onto them, which will be difficult, but we're confident that we can do it.
Yeah, I kind of just have a catch up on the likes of your injured players.
Sure.
Like Dan Lydiate, Justin. I mean, we go through them on a weekly.
Yeah, we do. They're
basis.
ticking.
How are these guys now?
Yeah, they're out running today. They're getting better. Obviously, the nature of their injuries are, you know, they're long term. They're not going to be featuring, you know, rarely, probably not this side of Christmas. You know, those boys. So if they do, then that'll be a bonus. I think Tips is probably the only one that's got a chance in that, but I don't think the others will. Dowie Lake should be back. They're the 4 sort of long-term injured boys. Keelan Giles is back in training. We're hoping to get him some game time in November and get him up and running. I think that's all of the long-term boys. Everyone else is back fit. Dan Evans is back fit. Cuthbert's fit, as you know, played well last week. Yeah, I think that's about it. Yeah.
Are you hoping to see Justin in December?
Oh yeah, of course. But again, it's, you know, if you've got a shattered scapula, it's really out of our hands. It's about the healing process, and everyone heals slightly differently. As I've said to you, and boring as it sounds, when we get our hands on him is around after he's been through a very vigorous process that, for example, that got Gareth Anscombe back. And the likes through long-term injured Alan Wynne back, where we are happy that they can train consistently, and there's no point in putting them out there for them to break down once again. So despite the pressure on what we want our mainstay players back out there, we've got to make sure that we get them out there and get them out there for good. And
last week you did mention that Rhys played particularly well, Rhys Webb.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel he hasn't started a test for Wales for 12 months? Do you feel the door is closed on him at international level?
I hope not. And conversations I've had, that they say that it hasn't. So all that Webby can control is his performance, and he played, as you say, he was in the URC team of the week, scored 2 tries. All he can do is keep putting his hand up. He knows that. He's enjoying the responsibility of the captain in the side, and I think that's a welcome distraction around that. But he'll keep putting his hand up because he's a proud Welshman that wants to play for his country.
Yeah, and Owen Watkin responded well, didn't he, to his omission last weekend?
Yeah, I mean, Owen obviously, Owen's played, you know, the majority. He's played the most minutes out of us all, and that's how, you know, what we feel about him. We've moved him around from 12 and 13. We predominantly see him as a 12, but with Michael Collins around, he's deputising in the 13 spot for us. We're trying to get him more impactful moments in the game. He's carrying well, and yeah, he's getting better and better. He's very confident about where he's going. He's had, you know, we've talked about what he needs to do and to force his way back in. But as with Adam Beard and Dan Lydiate before, all he can do is, and Webby, all they can do is keep putting their best foot forward. And if they do that, then, you know, you've got to try and get yourself to a performance where they have to pick you.
Yeah, my last question really, Jack Morgan, how has he responded to his omission? I mean, they can only have X number of open sides in the Wales squad. How has he responded, and what's your message to him?
I don't think Jack's a very humble guy and very respectful, so I don't think Jack would have expected to be included, but that doesn't shy away from his long-term ambition, of course. And, you know, again, we're talking about sharpening his skill set, playing very well. We obviously we left him out last week because of the load that he'd been through. Obviously, he'll be back in this week, and it'll be very important for us. And again, his performances have to stack up, and if they keep stacking up, then you know, you keep knocking on the door, and that's what coaches want: players that are knocking on the door with their performance.
You've been impressed with him, Toby, have you?
I have, yeah. I really have. I think he has influence in the game, you know, especially defensively from a Jackal point of view. He has a very high energy work rate, you know, which has been proven by the GPS data and whatever. And and if he's not caused a turnover himself, he's brought other people into it because he's a good defensive player. Our challenge is to make him, more effective on the attacking side of the ball, and he's working hard on those skill sets. But yeah, we're very pleased with how he's going, and he's a very young man who's just started his Ospreys journey, and we hope that Ospreys journey ends up in a Welsh jersey, and that's the plan for Jack, and we'll do everything we can to try and get him there.
In the summer, Rhys Davies was linked with a potential move to England. Are you optimistic, Toby, that you'll be able to hang on to him?
Very.
Yeah.
I'm very optimistic, yeah.
Well, yeah, what makes you sort of say that then?
Because I took him out for dinner and looked after him. No,
well, he's enjoying.
Yeah, no, he's loving it. I mean, obviously, he was involved with his career's moving forward. He's part of that young core of individuals that we're building a team for the future around, as well as performing well in where we are. It's obviously his home as well, his home region, which is massive for him. And he's been across the bridge and didn't like it.
All right, with you.
Yeah, he was injured for that. Yeah, it was my fault. It was all my fault, to be fair.
All right, thanks very much anyway.